Hello, everyone. Welcome to a little bit of woo. I'm so excited. I've got another astrologer on. We're going to be talking about eclipses. We're going to be talking about what's going on. And of course, all kinds of crazy stuff is always going on in the stars. And I wanted to introduce my good friend, professional intuitive life coach and astrologer, Jackleen Holton, to come back to the show and talk about what's going on, because there's a lot of stuff, particularly this week and then in the next couple of weeks. As a side note, I don't know if even if Jackleen knows about this, but Powell, who is going to be speaking this Wednesday, is expected to drop our interest rates 0.5%. People are going to responding a lot in the marketplace about that, but whether it actually materializes as real changes, we don't really know. But it's a big deal, because that Powell pivot has been a long time coming, and people are thinking it's going to save them. And guys, I hate to say this, it's not really going to do that much. But anyway, it's just not that much money. I mean, I'm just going to say it. And also the marketplace already knows about it. So anyway, now that I took your spotlight, Jackleen, tell us what's going on.
Well, you can focus on the economic stuff, because I noticed you have a real brain for that. And occasionally I'll get some stuff around that. I'm more the interpersonal kind of. I want to tell you how you can rock this magical gateway between eclipses. I might say a little bit about politics. I might say a little bit about what else is going on in the world, and how we're going to see some fun things, depending on which side you're on and what your affiliations are, how fun they might be, who knows. But we're going to see some revelations. But let's start with tomorrow's. We're talking today on Monday, September 16th. And tomorrow is our lunar eclipse in Pisces. It's at 20, let's call it 26 degrees Pisces. So if you know anything about astrology, what do you have around that degree? In mutable signs, that'll be a little bit more challenging. In water signs, what do you got around there? So we'll talk about that. But I want to talk about, first of all, what a lunar eclipse is, what a solar eclipse is, how it's different from a regular full moon. It's there's a scientific definition, which is the Earth's right in the middle, the sun and the moon that are opposed, and the Earth's shadow is cast on the moon. That's the scientific definition. People in the early days, before we knew what was going on, right, kind of freaked out when that happened and thought, wow, this means the world is ending. And so there is an element of that carries over when we have eclipses. And this is a watery one with the Pisces moon. And so look at your water appliances, look at your water closet, look at your, I've had toilets blow up. I've had floods in the laundry room, happen during eclipses. You do want to kind of watch that. We have a grand trine. That's what I want to start off with. There's a grand trine between the sun, which is our life force on one hand. On the other hand, it's our ego. So where are we coming from will make a large difference on how this lands. And Pluto and Uranus. Now, Pluto is power. It's transformation. It's the big kahuna, right? People, they downgraded it from a planet, the astronomers, God bless them. But it is our kind of most powerful and a little bit hidden power in Pluto. And then we've got Uranus, which is disruption, upset, difficulty. But they're in a grand trine, which is the most fortunate aspect in astrology. So I want to caution everyone, you know what is going to happen. It's already kind of happening.
Yeah, yesterday.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? I hate Taylor Swift. Oh my God. No. And then the assassination attempt and all this kind of crazy. And J.D. Vance and basically admitting this is one of the things that happens during eclipses or around eclipses, is that truths come out. Slip of the tongue, that happens. Things are uncovered. Journalists uncover scandals. Non-journalists uncover scandals with their cell phone, whatever. You're going to see a lot more of that. But I want to say that looking at the two charts of the eclipses, that it's a pretty positive gateway between eclipses, because we enter with a grand trine. Now, you can remember a few years back when Uranus and Pluto were not, well, anyone who knows anything about astrology, Uranus and Pluto were not getting along, and we were really at odds. we are not as much at odds as we have been. So I feel like it's really kind of smoothing out a bit. There will be crazy stuff that happens. I think we may even have a couple of terrorist attacks.
Oof.
Let's put it this way: subverted, foiled.
Thwarted,
Use the
thwarted.
Batman word, foiled again.
Well, I love what you just said. Can we pause on this for just one second? You
Yes.
just said something that was interesting. Pluto is about hidden information. And then you said Uranus was about conflict and volatility. So here we are, hidden information that causes conflict, or am I
Yeah.
getting it
Well,
wrong? Or
not so much. It's more kind of like things coming out, because the eclipse itself, it shines a light
okay, makes sense.
on.
Got it.
It's all about shining the light where it was previously dark, shining the light in dark places. And I've said this just about every eclipse, and just about every eclipse, some bombshells come out. Some things are revealed, like I said, with the JD Vance pretty much admitting that they're making up the story about cats and dogs, right? That was the big story of the week. And now we've got something to distract from it, this assassination attempt, which I don't know. We may get more information on that as well, and what's going on sort of behind the scenes in some of these things. So I say hold tight. This is my general eclipse advice: is to hold on to your hat, but everything that happens can be used for our betterment, for our upliftment, can be used for our transformation. And Pluto has been in Capricorn for a while, and it's just about to exit. Now, Capricorn is conservatism. It is looking back at the 1950s and saying, oh, what a pretty picture that was, even if we weren't even there, right?
Right.
And it's in that final degree. It's pretty serious. It's like really, but things are coming to light, that there's a plan to take us back to the 1950s or the 1850s even. So things are coming to light. We have the two options. It'll be an interesting. Here I was going to talk about personal stuff more than political stuff, but yeah, there's going to be a lot coming out.
Well, I gotta say, and I, no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, I think we can all agree that the memes that came out of they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, have been just so special. Oh,
I had
so
people on
special.
Facebook that were believing that. So I just had to post. All I did was post the article, and this was before all the memes really came out. But yeah, there's a cool little fun song. Look up "They're Eating the Cat" or "They're Eating the Dogs, They're Eating the Cat" song, and that was really cute.
Just it's a great way to waste 2 hours on Instagram. Not that I know this or
Yes,
anything,
yeah,
but
no.
looking at those little clips, it does make you smile. And I gotta say, there's very few things about this election that have made me smile. The mudslinging and the stupidity and the name calling and the let's not talk about actual issues here.
Mm.
That made me laugh, and I'm very grateful for that. So,
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. And then, the Taylor Swift thing, that was kind of a
you don't
really,
mess with Taylor
who can,
Swift fans.
who
You
can hate
just
Taylor
don't.
Swift?
Oh my god, everybody loves her. That's crazy. Yeah, you don't mess with that group. I'm sorry. Yeah, just
Yeah, yeah.
don't mess with Swifties.
Um, so anyway, let's get back to the personal,
Yes,
what
that's
you and
right.
I can do, and our listeners here can do to make their lives better um, by living through this eclipse, by navigating this eclipse. Again, we've got this gateway going in with a grand trine. It does say we're going to have some conflict. It is a lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse is the full moon eclipse, full moon on steroids. So I don't care what your relationship is like. There's probably going to be somebody squeezed the toothpaste in the wrong place, or and if everything's great, it's probably not going to be much. You'll be fine. But the other side of it, we come through this, and actually in the middle of it, we have the autumnal equinox, which is wonderful. I believe that's on the 22nd. Yeah, the 22nd, real early in the morning at 5:44 here in Pacific time, 5:44 a.m. That's our time when the sun moves into Libra. That's what the eclipses, or excuse me, the equinoxes and solstices are. That the sun moves into one of the cardinal signs, and this one is Libra. And Libra plays a little bit nicer, unless they're passive aggressive, of course. So we've known Libras on both sides of the fence, or people that affiliate with Libra. I'm a moon person, and I think your moon is the most important thing. That's our soul, that's our higher self, and that's where we want to come from. And if we can just know what our moon is and always try to come from that place during this eclipse and honor our moons, honor our lunar returns. That's that time every month where the moon comes back to where it was in your birth chart. That's a really good time to relax and take care of yourself and refrain from conflict as much as you can. And just,
Well, let's talk about the date, because I know we talked about, you said, what's going on right now. What kind of time frame are we talking about? I know we said, potentially some terrorist events around the world. I mean, the world is a big place. So
yeah.
most of you guys are just going to be watching this on TV and being shocked.
I don't want to, I'm hoping that none of them are real.
Maybe none of it happens.
Events.
Okay.
I mean, there'll be some weather events, and I am not the best weather predictor, but when you have a full moon, a lunar eclipse in Pisces, the water sign, at a serious late degree, and Uranus is significantly that to me says, oh, tsunamis or earth and water events. I don't know about that. Again, don't quote me on that, but here we are real close to this. Tomorrow is this full moon, and then we've got this gateway. Things get a little bit better a day or two on either side of a full moon, particularly a lunar eclipse. And so if you get conflict over the next couple of days, then just realize, okay, it's probably going to chill out and settle down. But we're in that magical gateway between eclipses. And that's why I like to talk about. That is a wonderful time to be your highest self. Do the things that you really want to do. If you use this time period between September 17th and October 2nd, when the moon, when we have the solar eclipse, where the sun and moon are cozied up in Libra, playing very nice. It's still an eclipse. There's still, stuff that happens, but we've got a grand trine around that one too. But if you use the time, I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you use the time in this magical gateway to intend and do these little token starts, we start off because it is a full moon lunar eclipse by getting rid of things. A great time to clean out your garage. Great time to, like I said, check your water appliances. Make sure everything's up to date. Get rid of things, relationships, commitments, anything that does not uplift you and have you being your highest self. Let's just shift on that over the next couple of weeks. Then when the solar eclipse comes, and I want to talk about my theory of when we start with a lunar eclipse, we got to count that next full moon in as like the end point of the eclipse period. Okay. Even though we're out of the gateway on October 2nd, we're gonna, that one is at 5:44 a.m. I believe. Or no, I'm sorry, that was the wrong, that was the equinox I was talking about. Let me go to this time period because I'm
going to throw in something while you look for the time period. But here, I went to school to be a geologist. Obviously, that was one of my 75 majors in college. But I would say, not being a full-fledged geologist, that all of these earthquakes going on around the world would not be a sign that everything's fine, that we aren't going to have an earthquake. I would say what you're describing makes a lot of sense, that we could be ready to, to release something, which can, depending on where it happens, cause a tsunami. If it were me and I lived in a tsunami zone, and I have, those signs you're walking past all the time that says, here's a tsunami evacuation zone. Maybe look at the sign and figure out, okay, which way do I go if I'm on a hike when this alarm goes off?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, there is the sign not too far from where I live. But we're up on a hill, so
you're not worried. But you know what I mean? Like, we've all walked by those and thought, oh, that's a new sign.
Like I said, I didn't look into where is this going to happen, or is it even going to happen? It could be another earth water event, like landslides, for example, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mudslides and avalanches. Well, we don't have so much of that right now, but you know what I'm saying? Just those
Mhm.
kind of things could happen. I don't want to prognosticate any doom or any, um, difficulty, but because I do really want to focus on the interpersonal. And I think as we approach the solar eclipse, and again, the solar eclipse is the kinder, gentler eclipse because of the sun and moon cozied up, but we still get, a little bit of conflict. Mars is our trouble causer at the solar eclipse, right? I'm looking at the lunar eclipse and it doesn't seem to be as Mars is kind of like right now laying low, and but Mars is the aggression, it's the physicality, it's the male component, and that's got a couple of squares. We're looking at Mercury. People are going to be saying kind of stuff, but people are saying stuff, right?
Yep.
Around that. I just want to say in your relationship, it's all going to be okay if you're supposed to be with that person, right? A lot of people listen to this, maybe they know where it's going. Okay. If it's going to go, an eclipse will often dislodge relationships that are not supposed to, or they've run their course, or, and I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, business partnerships, even friendships that, it's just, you're not on the same level anymore, or something has to happen. It's either going to happen or there's going to be a pathway to that discussion. The discussions that we can have, particularly around this solar eclipse in relationships, can really bring us to that next level in relationship.
I love
I
what you're saying because I'm hearing in this, dislodging maybe some of the less productive connections, and then in favor of the more productive connections, the more collaborations, the new,
yeah,
we're like you and I on the, doing the show together. Those kinds of collaborations. It sounds like what you're describing is that it's a better time for those kinds of to begin those kinds of
yeah.
connections. Would you say?
Well, what I would say now is within the next 2 weeks, focus on what do I need to remove from my life to get it more aerodynamic, get me where I need to go, right? And that's what a full moon, and particularly a lunar eclipse, I think it's going to be easier to quit difficult habits if we really do focus, right, during this next couple of weeks. But the other side of the coin is if you look at it, this gateway between eclipses, very magical time. You can tell the universe, which is just a fancy way of saying your higher consciousness, this is how I'm going to be from here on out. I'm showing you the kind of habits I want to have. And first, I'm going to start by removing things. That's, if you want to clean a room, first thing you do is remove stuff, right? Or that's probably the best way to do it. You remove everything and then you put back only what you love. So that's sort of what I would focus on the first couple of weeks. And then when we get to October 2nd, okay, what do I want to put in the room now? Now that, I've gotten everything out I don't want. What do I want to put in there? What do I now have more room for? And that's how to really kind of rock this time period.
I love that. I love that. It's time to go visit the Goodwill, and also, just go to your garage if you live in an earthquake area, and just make sure the hot water heater is strapped in. I mean, it's like
Please,
that's a
because again, water,
huge freaking
water.
mess. If there's that thing falls over, it's a mess in your garage. I'm just saying, love
Yeah.
it, love it. I mean, these are just simple things. This is not alarmist. We should all be
No,
doing that at some point. And now's the
no.
time. If you haven't in
Yeah,
a
that
while,
little cord between your toilet and the wall,
yeah, make sure it's still attached.
that's, maybe get a new one.
There you go. Right. Make sure all
Whatever.
those cords are still attached. I love that. No, this is simple advice. Everybody should be doing that. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful time to kind of do practical things too. Here we have around the solar eclipse, Saturn, the grand trine. I want to talk about that grand trine. So we're walking through one grand trine to another. So again, it's like a doubly magical gateway. And the next grand trine is going to be Mars and Venus. Again, our love planets, our interpersonal interaction planets, and then Saturn. Again, there's going to be some Saturn stuff that comes up. If you have problems about money in your relationship, it's time to tackle those, clean out, go through all your expenditures and see what you're not getting value from and cancel that. Here I am talking about economics, but personal economics, get rid of things that you don't need, that you're paying for, that you're not using, or start to use them if they're really good things, right? And then move toward, okay, now we've emptied some of this room, have the talk about finances, how we're going to move forward in relationships of all, your business relationships, setting boundaries. That's going to be a big thing around this solar eclipse. It'll be a nicer time to set boundaries because we've got Mercury, the moon, and the sun all cozied up in Libra. So we're really nicer at that time. Libra's the sign of niceness, unless it's the sign of passive aggression, like I said before. So you check yourself there too. Each time you go through a doorway, you check yourself. Okay, am I coming more from the ego or from my life force? That.
And is that in this 2-week period, or is that after the
No,
October 2nd?
that's around the Libra solar eclipse, but I would say that about a week into this or so, maybe a little bit over a week into this, you might start to be feeling that energy of, okay, so maybe you really did well, and I'm driving around with stuff for Goodwill in my car. There's a meme, speaking of memes, that like, here's what we do, and we clear out our house. We put things in a bag, and then we drive around with them for a couple of months. And so, yeah, those garbage bags full of clothes you no longer want, take them. I don't want to pump Goodwill. It's probably not the best place to take them, but wherever
They do have a pretty easy system, I will tell you.
They make it very easy there.
Take your stuff and recycle it.
There are other places that take them too. So anyway, yeah. So just clear out first. And then when you're ready and we start to feel that energy coming in, about the midway point is really that I'm looking at my wall calendar here. Midway point between the two is just about the autumn, the fall equinox.
Okay.
And so you might feel at that point, it has that quality of, okay, we look back. It's speaking of the equinox, and it's beautifully situated in this magical gateway, is a wonderful time to kind of strengthen our intentions and say, okay, let's pat myself on the back for what I accomplished over the last 6 months, but let's also look at what we want to accomplish, by the spring equinox.
Now, there's something you and I talked off air, and I did, sometimes the best conversations happen off the air, and you're like, why didn't I record this?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about, with the October surprise that happens in the election?
Yeah.
Or is that a minefield we don't want to walk into?
No. There's definitely going to be an October surprise, and it could be very well around this, again, because we've got we have a grand trine. I feel like whatever happens will work out for the best of all. Like, I want to say, whether that be the majority or the upliftment, the growth of the country. The fact that Pluto is moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius, which is about ideals. It's about innovation. I mean, it's going to be a little bit after the election that it moves out of that. So, there could be, it could go either way, but I mean, I'm feeling more that we're not going back because of the direction of Pluto, because of the things that are going to come out, because of, the way people are organizing. And that's huge under, Aquarius as well. So we've had a lot of Aquarian energies kind of leading up to this moment. And Libra is very friendly to that. So we're going to see, I don't know, things sort of coming together in a way that builds bridges, I think. I'm probably a little bit more optimistic than your average astrologer, and oftentimes I've gotten shot down because of that, in the sense that, oh, okay, I wanted this to happen. So I'm trying not to come from that place, but I'm looking at this chart of that October eclipse and thinking, okay, so what, generally when things come out, it's a good thing, right? When hidden
I
things,
love disclosure events on both sides. I think there's so much that's hidden, and intuitively, I've seen that there's just so much going on behind closed doors that we don't know about that are involving even foreign governments, all of this stuff. And I do intuitively think there's going to be a glitch in both campaigns. There's already been a few glitches in the Trump campaign, but I think there might be a glitch in the Harris campaign as well. But I think we're all going to be like, oh, but it'll be okay. I'm not saying I don't think she's dropping out. I don't think it's like that. I think there could be maybe a death in her family. I don't know, but I did see feels like there's a glitch. I don't know. What do you think?
you mentioned that you thought Trump was not going to make it to the
I
election.
still don't think
You
that.
still don't think he's going to make it to the election.
I think he's got a lot of health problems.
Yeah, you thought it might be physical health.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could also be mental health. We're seeing sundowners, we're seeing that dementia, what looks very much like dementia. So, I think that if he were to get in faster than you can spin a top, JD Vance would be bringing up that 25th Amendment and doing the bidding of the Heritage Foundation in that manner.
I will tell you, I'm sure I'm going to hear in the comments about this one, but
I
sure have tuned in.
Comments. I'm saying more than I maybe should too, but
I have tuned into that Project 20 whatever many times, and I have not seen it implemented. And I do think, is it 2025? I don't know what it is. Whatever. Somebody's going to put in the comments what I'm correcting.
18,
but I have
25. Yeah.
I have not seen that implemented. I've not seen that taken up. But I will say one thing I do see is I think the Democrats might look at that too and say, hey, writing a handbook to hand to a future president of what to do to get started and who they vetted isn't a bad idea. It was just in this case, it wasn't the kindest. Might have been, but I'm saying like maybe we should think these things out a little bit in advance. And how can we kind of because it is a lot of work to vet, new cabinet members and all of that. But I will say I'm just not seeing that being implemented. Whether that means that it's going to be Harris, which I do feel like it will. I just don't see the other stuff happening. But I'm not going to say I've never been wrong. I absolutely have been, and it is really close. I do feel like whatever happens, it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay, even though it's there's a lot of words to the contrary in that. Especially, and then that's one of the things I've always loved about you, Jackleen, is that you do have this more positive look on it. It's always like, yeah, this thing exploded, but guess what? You get the foundation still there. You can build a new house. I mean, you've always had that sort of, let's look at what's ended.
You needed a new toilet anyway.
You needed a new toilet anyway. I mean, it's, looking at.
Someone's going to have that happen and be like, you created that.
I know,
Put that in my head.
Please put it in the comments though if that does happen. But don't use the F word. I won't have to delete the comment if you don't. Okay. No, I don't mean you. I mean the person writing.
Oh god.
I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about on that? Is there any world events that you think we should kind of be on our radar? Things that might happen that maybe might not? Anything you want to talk about before we kind of close there?
I just want to say, let's bring it back to the personal. Be that change that you want to see in the world. If you want so-and-so to win, if this is your ideal, go and work for it, right? Do something to make that happen. I would say, like, look at this time. I don't know if you ever see that Undercover Boss. Like,
I love that show.
Like this is like someone's around you looking at you, or like or you're being filmed, in consideration for whatever. Be what your soul wants you to be as much as possible right now. Great time over the next 2 weeks to look at your diet and refine that and say, I would like to consume less of this. I would like to, and here's the reason why, right? So have your reasons at the ready, because just to say I want to lose weight, that's just not an inspiring goal, right? But why? Do you want to just, look fabulous on your honeymoon in Aruba where you're jet skiing, even though you don't even have a partner right now? And you know what I'm saying? Just to really kind of get that bigger vision teed up and do things in line with that. you know, do little token, what I call token starts in areas that are important to you, especially like, again, first week or two, focus on the what you want to get rid of, and then as we get closer to the solar eclipse, what do you want to build? And then again, we've got another 2 weeks before I see this eclipse cycle as being over, because we're going to start with the lunar eclipse. We're going to put that next full moon in there as kind of the end point. That's just the way I've always looked at it.
There was something that you put in a blog. It was a few years ago. Actually, it was quite a few years ago, but I want to bring it up because it was really wise and very sensible advice. And it was about an election where people were really disappointed with the results. And I remembered you commenting that part of it was because we had focused on what we didn't want. We don't want this person. We don't want, and instead of focusing on what we do want. So I love your advice of focus on what you want, have that vision, not what I don't. I can't be that guy. I can't be that person. I can't be that person. You know, putting that energy on this. I love that idea. And any thoughts? I mean, is one part of the cycle better for peace, perhaps in the Middle East? Is there any sense?
Okay. I love this solar eclipse. And of course, you know, I told you last time I'm going to write this article about the dark side of the new moon. There's always something that happens almost immediately after a new moon that says, okay, here's what you need to focus on for the next couple of weeks. Here's what you didn't get rid of that you need to. So I told you the story of my cat and all that. But peace is Libra, is Venus, right? And here we are at this solar eclipse, having the sun and the moon powerfully together with Mercury, which is talks, peace talks, right? Sun, moon, Mercury cozied up so beautifully. And we've got a grand trine involving Mars, Venus, and Saturn. Saturn is the compromise aspect of it. Mars is the warring factions, and Venus is the peace energy. So, I mean, I don't see a better time for it to happen. Hopefully they can get it together by that time. But wouldn't that be a nice time to have peace talks on, you know, around this solar eclipse, or a little bit after, you know?
What's the dates again on that?
That is October 2nd at
October 2nd.
9 a.m. Pacific. That's when we get that solar eclipse. Very powerful time for intending, you know, what you want to create for yourself.
So again, as you're intending what you want to create for yourself, maybe picture a little bit.
Throw out some energy, and we'll be doing that at the moon circle. I'm having a moon circle tomorrow night for this lunar eclipse. It's going to be almost right before it happens, but we do magnetizing. We put out intentions, and it's just a cool little fun thing. It's just for my Patreon people, and that's just a small eclectic group of people that want to know where the moon is, and, you know, get exclusive articles and things like that.
Well, and I love it. Your Patreon membership is like a token. It's like $5 or something. It's so cheap. And I'm like,
yeah, it is. It is.
Awesome.
And I don't seem to have been able to, and I give people 15% off if they're a Patreon. It's like my little best kept secret, because I really don't know how to tell people how great it is. So,
well, I will say that I've been to those circles, and one of the exercises that we do as a tribe, and it's, you know, it is typically full of healers who have a lot of healing energy, because that's who is drawn to that kind of attention, you know, kind of event. We say what we want, and we all picture the other person getting it. And I will tell you, every time I've attended, I've always gotten it, no matter how obscure and ridiculous the request was. I wanted a hybrid car when there was like a wait list, and I got a call like the next day, and I'm like, what? Really?
I love that. I love
to tell Jackleen.
Yeah.
It was like a 6-month wait list, and the guy's like, I don't know, somebody canceled their order, and you were the only one that called. So here, if you want it, come pick it up. I'm like, you're gonna want some money though, aren't you?
I love to hear those kind of stories. So wonderful.
So that's what I would recommend. Those kinds of things. You know, if you're wanting to draw in what you want, this is a great healing circle. It's part of Jackleen's service and part of her Patreon channel. And I will put a link in the description. Anything else you want to say on that?
I'll probably think of something later that I should have said that, but then I'll let you know. We'll probably be talking again, I'm sure, before the election, and I'll have more insights on that and the interesting stuff. You know, sit down on your couch with some popcorn, and hold your cats and dogs real tight.
Oh, right. I wonder how Springfield
Sorry, the
feels.
couch, you know, the JD Vance
Oh
reference,
my God, I know, I know. I
which is
wonder how
also not true.
I know. I wonder how people in Springfield feel about this.
They are going to Haitian restaurants and really celebrating the immigrant community, the Haitian community, and
good for them.
that's what the majority of people are really using events to sort of uplift the world. So
I love that.
very heartened by that.
I'm always very heartened to when there's any kind of natural disaster, how the first people to help are your neighbors. And
Yes.
I'm always surprised by that. The government intervention is always a couple of days later, but it's your neighbor who goes with their boat
Yes.
to rescue your goats. I saw a video like that.
Oh,
That
yeah.
isn't a random example, but that's why connection within the community is so important. And I'm so encouraged when I see people, especially who have disparate points of view, connecting with the community.
Yes. Yes.
So how can people connect with you? I will put links in the description, but go ahead and just tell us because people like to hear it.
JackleenHolton.com. My name is spelled, well, you see it on the screen, don't you? Yeah, just that.com, and you can book a session with me. You can check out my Patreon page. Yeah, and I do newsletters, so you can sign up for that on my website as well. And I'm about to write one today. So who knows what I'll write? I'm going to write all the things I didn't say today. So you'll see that in the newsletter.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, thanks so much, guys. If you like this, please hit like and say something nice in the comments. We appreciate that. We appreciate your support. That really helps get messages that are positive and uplifting out. Although, there are a couple of not so nice things in there, but we got to talk about what's going on. We got to be honest about what's going on in the world. So thanks, guys. And we'll see you. We'll have Jackleen on again. We'll see you again next time. Bye. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye.